Alright, so welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about areas of circles. So last class and on the last video we learned about how to find the circumference, the total distance around the circle. Today we're going to be talking about what do we do if we want to find the total amount of space on the inside of our circle. So you should be on page 239. 239 at the top it says 6.8 areas of circles. I'm going to skip over that first definition. I'm going to jump straight here to where it says here of 6.20 area of the circle. It says the area of the circle is pi times the square of the radius. Now here's the formula you will always see. This formula will never go away until you finish math in college. Area of the circle, A equals pi r squared. A equals pi r squared, meaning whatever your radius is, you square that, then you multiply it times pi. That's how you're going to find your area. So let's go through an example. In example 1, right underneath the theorem 6.20 box, they want us to find the area of this circle. They tell us that the radius is 4.2 meters. We know the formula for an area is pi r squared. So, instead of saying pi r squared, we know that our radius is 4.2 meters. So I can say pi times 4.2 squared. Now, order of operations. I cannot multiply this pi times 4.2 until I square the 4.2 first. So, I'm going to do 4.2 squared in my calculator. And now I get 17.64 times pi. Now, since we already have a decimal 17.64, let's go ahead and get this whole thing in decimal form, approximate form. I can take 17.64 times and press pi. The best way to keep your answers accurate is to press the pi button on your calculator. Now, if your calculator doesn't have a pi button, you can use 3.14. But you should get an answer around 55.42 square meters. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about units. The idea is this. We're no longer talking about a length. We're no longer talking about a distance from point A to point B, a straight line. We're talking about an amount of space that something covers, that something occupies. So, I can't just say this is 55.42 meters because that's a length, that's a straight line distance. We're talking about an amount of space. So what square meters means is that if I have a square that's 1 meter in height and then 1 meter in width, if this circle was actually drawn to size, I can fit about 55.42 of these boxes inside my circle. That's what that means. That's why we use square meters as our units. Anytime you're talking about area, your units are going to be square. So, we'll talk more about that in class. I want to talk about example B first. This time they give us the area. They said the area is 201 inches squared. 201 square inches. So, now we're going to use our area formula. And so we're going to work backwards to find what the actual diameter is. So keep an eye on that picture in your book. I'm going to scroll up so you can see what I worked through. So once again, our formula is A equals pi r squared. Well, this time we know what A is. We don't know what R is, but we do know what A is. Our area is 201 square inches. So I can say 201 equals pi r squared. Now, since I want to find out what R is, because I know if I find R, it's easy to find the diameter from there. It's multiplied by 2. Since I want to solve for R, I need to divide by what's being multiplied by R. I'm going to divide by pi. I'm going to have 201 divided by pi. So divide by pi on both sides. When I do that, my pi is on the right, and I have 201 divided by pi on the left. So, what happens when I end up dividing by pi on both sides, when these cancel out, in my calculator I do 201 divided by pi. I get 63.98. So I can say 63.98 equals r squared. Well, guess what? We don't want to know what r squared is. We want to know what r equals. So what can I do to both sides of this equation to get rid of the square? Hopefully we can take the square root. That's the inverse operation. So I'll take the square root of both sides. Now, in your calculator, you can press second square root, second answer, that'll give you the full number, or you can press second square root of 63.98, and that gives me about 7.998, or I'll just round this to about 8 inches. Now, since we were looking for the diameter is a straight line. It's not going to be 8 square inches. It's just going to be 8 inches long, our diameter. So, sorry, excuse me, that was the radius. But since we know the radius is about 8 inches, what do I multiply the radius by to get the diameter? We know the radius is half of the total distance of our circle. We're going to multiply the radius times 2. And so the diameter is going to be 16 inches. Excuse me. All right, so here's what I want you to do. This is review. You have seen this before. I want you to turn over to page 242. For homework, the first part, I want you to complete questions 1 through 7 on page 242. It's just working with the area formula. It's very important that you come to class comfortable with area in order to be successful with what we're going to do on Friday. All right, see you then.